Hunters, how's it going? And welcome back to the Rambles. This is episode 33. Today, I have the man behind Necrófago and Slammasters Wrestling promoter, John Walker.
Hello.
How's it going, man? I think the last time I seen you was at VCW back last February.
Nearly a year ago, not far off to the day, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been nearly a full calendar year without seeing your little face, apart from on these, of course.
Yeah, thank you for for your support as well. You said to me that you've been watching them.
Yep.
I do appreciate that. Thank you. So, what have you been up to during lockdown then?
Well, lockdown life really. A never-ending series of Zoom calls. I've been working from home since March. I've got a dog now, so dog walks in addition to child walks. Like yourself, I'm experiencing homeschooling at the moment as well. Been trying to work out. I've made myself a little bit of a gym based on some equipment that I managed to get when prices haven't been so stupidly high, and just getting through it basically, really, as much as anyone can do. And yeah, that's about it. Trying to make plans for Slammasters, but any plans you make, they're at the mercy of what happens with lockdown and what have you. Anyway, but yeah, just trying to keep in shape as much as I can. Just try and get through, and yeah, try and make plans. And I've started to make my way through Impact Wrestling from the very beginning as well, which is it's going all right so far. But yeah, it's the sign of lockdown.
Yeah. So is that Impact in TNA? And
it is, yeah. So I've started from the Asylum years, right from the 2002 days when it was pay-per-view, like weekly pay-per-views before they had the TV deals.
I didn't think Impact, TNA, whatever you want to call it, was actually that bad back then. I thought it was really good.
The 2002 era. Well, so far I've I found it to be a bit of a mix of the very good and the very obscure. So like on the second episode, there's a match between like AJ Styles, Psychosis, a very, very young Low Key, and Jerry Lynn, and then it's followed by like a 1 minute match with some guy I'd never heard of against some like massively huge guy known as Cheeks. So it's a bit crazy, really. Entertaining though. It's surprisingly entertaining, and yeah, like all the early X Division stuff it still holds up now.
Yeah,
it's worth a watch. Yeah, with the Impact app you get like a month free, so yeah, get it and try and rinse all the early stuff for as much as possible.
This isn't sponsored by Impact.
No, I wish, yeah, but it's free and we're on lockdown, so we all need something to watch.
Go. So let's get down to it. Let's get into it. Why you are on here. So as you know, as you've watched all this, and for the millions, I'm not going to do that joke. I'm not doing that joke. So how and why did you get into this crazy ass wrestling business?
Well, I've been a fan for as long as I can remember, pretty much. Like I've been into it for years and years. Like my brother's a bit older than me, so he got into it first. I'm not quite sure how he got into it. I'm guessing it was from like in school or something. So I can remember then, before we had Sky, my next door neighbor recorded a few pay-per-views on good old video cassette for us. And so like early memories of just watching like the tail end of what was the golden era with him. My dad used to tape WCW for us, which was aired either really late on a Saturday night or really early on a Sunday morning.
TNT, if I remember rightly, on TNT.
Yeah. And if the timer on the video worked, or if he remembered to record it, one or the other, like I was quite young, so I don't know if he was lying or not, it would mean Sunday mornings were very good. So we'd just play for hours with all the like figures out and watching like early to lower end of the mid-90s. Yeah, WCW on a Sunday. And yeah, I've always been into it. I've had like a few years where I dropped out for a little bit. A lot of people seem to do that as wrestling fans. Some of it coincided with what like channel and what time slots stuff would have had. But yeah, I got back into it then, like late 90s, kind of by chance. It was when Mike Tyson was in WrestleMania 14. Me and my brother hand watched wrestling for a while, but we were reading the paper because we were into football, so we'd always read like the back part of the papers then. And there was a big thing about Mike Tyson and WWF. So we thought, oh, we haven't watched this for a while. And it happened to be the replay on that night. And since then, for again, apart from the odd little dip out here and there, yeah, I've been into it pretty consistently. So yeah, I've been a fan a while now, and yeah, not just WWF as well. I was well into WCW back in the day, and yeah, TNA then after the Asylum years, so when it was on the Wrestling Channel, I think it was originally, and then yeah, kept with that when it was on Challenge. On a Sunday, and yeah, got like dipped in and out of Ring of Honor over the years as well. Last couple of years, but I'm sure we'll come into that. I got into some Mexican promotions as well, like AAA. I'm quite a big fan of their YouTube channel, but can't get it anymore because it's blocked in this country now. And yeah, pretty much anything I can get my grubby mitts on. Really, I've just been a full-time wrestling nerd, really, to be fair.
Well,
at least honest about it, though.
Well, yeah, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? I mean, you know, you said you've been a fan for years, and you've also actually been wrestling as well, as we're going to get into that. So you decided one day going to go to a dream school.
Kind of. It's a bit of a story to it. So in about 2014, like I'd always been into like fitness stuff anyway. But in 2014, I had like we all have bad years at times, and I had a pretty rubbish one. And I found myself eating rubbish and drinking too much, and like I'm quite a little guy anyway, but I'd like put on about 3 stone of not good weight, shall we say? So I looked like a bit of a round balloon. So I spent 2015 getting back into the gym, getting back into fitness. I did quite well, reshaped quite a bit. And towards the end of that year, we went to Butlins Minehead for WWE weekend. And for whatever reason, probably too many lagers, I was watching a fairly throwaway match in the show. It was the Usos and Ryback against the Wyatt family. So it was Harper, Rowan, and fairly recently debuted Braun Strowman. He might not have even debuted on TV at the time, but he was in the match because we didn't have a clue who he was. And for some reason, I was watching it, and I think the Usos weren't all in, and you could see them like talking to each other on the apron while Ryback was doing his best with his feed me more things. And I looked over and said, I reckon I could do this. And yeah, so I was with my brother, his missus, and my now fiance, and they just pretty much laughed and said, "Shut up, have another drink." I'm quite stubborn, so I thought, right, fine, I'll show you. And obviously, your phone listens to you and Facebook listens to you. So in about a day or two, next thing I saw was an advert for training at Welsh Wrestling. I didn't really know too much about the UK scene, I'll admit. I was like a fan of like American at the times, but yeah, I kind of thought I knew like there was Welsh wrestling because that was in Porthcawl where I go to a bit, and I just kind of thought the UK scene was like tribute shows. I still thought it was like that era. I didn't realize it like really progressed. But clearly it had quite a bit, and I replied to the advert, said, "Oh, I'm interested. I've been a fan a while. I've got myself fairly fit. I'd love to give it a go." And yeah, it was Alan Ravenhill responded on it because he was running it, and yeah, he replied, said, "Yeah, well, pay your money, and you sound like you'd be okay, like on the fitness side of it. Give it a go." And yeah, not long after Christmas then in 2016, I had my first training session.
So you get to Welsh Wrestling Academy when they had that. So taking
before they had that. It was before they had that. It was it was really early days. So I think they'd had an academy in Port Talbot, or they had something in Port Talbot, but that went. So I think then this was like the early days of possibly just testing the waters to see what was out there. It was in a boxing club in Carmarthen. I think I joined too early for where it was then, because as someone who'd never bumped, never locked up, it wasn't really set up for someone to learn from scratch, shall we say. But something really good came out of it. There was a person called Ken Gardner, who I believe you're familiar with.
I come across Ken, one or two times.
Well, there was about 10 people in the training group, and I went a few weeks. It wasn't even every week or anything. It was like every 3 weeks, maybe. So I think the first session there was about 10 people. Then there was less and less people each time. Some of it was because I'm sure every wrestling club gets someone who turns up once, never returns. Like I've seen that other places as well. But yeah, it wasn't great for someone who didn't know anything. Like the Welsh Wrestling Academy did develop a lot, and they had their own unit, and the training improved massively. So yeah, I was just there at the wrong time. But out of that training group, it was myself, Ken Gardner, and then there was Anthony and Adam, who ended up being the 90s kids, and there was another guy called George who ended up working for Welsh Wrestling as well. So yeah, out of say the 10 or so, 4 of us went on to have matches, and obviously Ken had been a pro, and he ended up doing some more matches before he decided to walk away again as well. So wasn't a bad little group, really, statistically anyway, out of people who turned up, who ended up having matches. But yeah, Ken thought the same as me, and I'm sure others. Wasn't particularly happy, or didn't think it was right for him, and he discovered KPWA. And so yeah, us 4 plus another guy called Jason, who I believe also did a match for Welsh before he had some injuries. We went to KPWA with him.
So the difference between the Welsh Wrestling trainer side of things to walking through the KPWA doors, what was the difference, and how you know where I'm going with it.
Different worlds. So Welsh Wrestling at that time was, as I said, in the boxing club. We were bumping on a boxing ring, which isn't nice to be fair. The mats were softer than the boxing ring, and the mats weren't very thick. And the training at Welsh wasn't, say, particularly structured in the way that someone who's just walked through the door could really progress with. But soon as I went through the door of KPWA, you had Andrew and Luke. Well, Andrew and Luke as well were just incredible with me. So patient, so supportive. They break everything down. If you were doing something wrong, they would not just tell you that you're doing it wrong, they correct you and show you how to do it. And so I found that was useful at that time as well, like the early days of KPWA. So I wasn't there in the first place. So originally it was upstairs in the gym. I was in when it was shared, it was like a boxing club, and then we had our ring in there with them as well. I think it was like Freaks or something. It was Knockout Freaks or something like that. And yeah, we had some like guest coaches as well. So Grizz would coach on a Saturday morning. Cayman did a few sessions as well. So yeah, like, and Andrew and Luke would do one-to-one sessions as well. So I can remember a time I hit a bit of a wall, like everyone learning to do anything hits a wall, and I was getting a bit in my head with it at one point. And Andrew just said, well, why don't you if you got an hour or two off in an afternoon, come down. So I booked the afternoon off work to spend a bit of time with him, and I just had like one-on-one with Andrew, and so much stuff like clicked then with it, and I think that was like a real turning point in like my development there. Yeah, and to have training then, like Luke would really break everything down, and like Luke, I'm sure we'll get onto him, is like this complete knowledge of wrestling. It's a shame he's not out there more, because I think on technical ability he's so much more than what his bookings, or no one's booked at the moment, but like pre-COVID, what his bookings suggest. And like other people who were a bit more experienced as well would have it, like JJ Roberts helped out me a lot. Like he was good at like breaking down like little like character nuances and things. He's really good that side. And at that time, KPWA as well, we had quite a few good training seminars. So we had one with Robbie E. Later on then we had Renee Dupree, Angelina Love as well. And yeah, we had one session one day with Jason Cross.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was, I wasn't particularly familiar with him, but yeah, he was really good as well.
I think the thing behind being a good trainer is having patience for your trainees, and I think that's something that Andrew and LD does have with their trainees, is patience. You know, which,
yes, yeah,
you know, which
definitely.
everybody
I sucked. I really sucked, and I took a long time to just even get basics right. Like, is that before wrestling? Like years ago, I done like dabbled in some karate and things, and whereas I think it helped me with footwork, the idea of kicking someone straight on flat-footed does not register at all. Yes. And like, yeah, just because it's like different programming and like going for a shot, but like pulling back and things like it took a while for me to get that, and just basic things like. And there was other people in the class who were similar, who maybe didn't take to it as quickly as some others, but you weren't left behind as such. Andrew maybe would take some people to one side, Luke the other, and yeah, like it was, they're awesome trainers. They deserve more from how KPWA ended.
Yeah, well, they don't get enough credit, I find.
No. When I say ended, I mean the when they had the second unit and it was just KPWA. It's a shame that at that time didn't work financially, because they deserved it too.
It's very good now. Right, going on to the next question. So, in your time of wrestling, you've had a couple of gimmicks. I believe your first one was Johnny Narcissist. That's where I met you anyway. You was Johnny Narcissist. You know, you became the KPWA champion, which was great. If I'm forgetting any more achievements of yours, I do apologize. But and now, the past year or two, you have decided to put on a mask, and you decided to become Necrófago. So, what's the difference between wrestling without a mask and with a mask on? Because I would think it was a bit harder. You know, she's always got to move it around, got to try and adjust it. So.
Yeah. So yeah, you are right. The first gimmick I had was Johnny Narcissist. I always liked the idea of being a heel more than a baby face. And the name was it was one of my mates' old band's name. I just thought it was always like a cool wrestler name. And I don't think I was very good as a heel, as I was told by a promoter, which is fair. Yeah, I don't think I ever quite nailed it. Like I could never get the balance between, say, being cocky and a bit of a wimp, where I think that character needed to get more of a, he needed to be a bit more of a wimp than perhaps I wanted to portray it a little bit, and I just struggled with it. So yeah, but then likewise I also struggled as a babyface as well. So I had this little stint of being attempted to be a babyface in KPWA. Didn't really like it. But then I ended up getting back on exposure shows after a bit of a 9-month or so absence, and then I was the babyface there as the ill-fated Johnny Love, which was pretty much Adam Rose version 2. Hated it. I struggled as a babyface. I struggled with movements, expressions, and facials as well. And I wasn't really happy with what I was doing in wrestling. At Exposure, I was doing RIW. I wasn't really that happy what I was doing there or where it was going there. KPWA, as we knew it, was coming to a bit of a going on hold, shall we say. And I was done, basically. My boy was being born as well. So I thought, right, well, I'm going to take some time off to be with him, and I wasn't going to come back. In my last match at Exposure, I let myself down quite a bit, to be honest, with my performance, and I put my Johnny Narcissus gear straight out the bag, and I don't know where it is today. Basically, I think it's in the house somewhere. But yeah, I was thinking that I started to miss it a little bit after a few months. I thought, right, well, I'm no good as a heel, because I've been told. I really struggle as a babyface, but I think my main struggle is the facials. So then I was listening to a podcast. I think it was one of that Lion Kid did, who weirdly was in my first ever match, and he said that he found it liberating almost, because he had the same struggles, that when you put the mask on, you don't have to worry about your facials, and you can be more exaggerated, and it doesn't matter anymore because no one can see your face. And I always quite like the WCW luchas, and I'm a littler guy anyway. Well, I think I'm little. Some of the matches I end up being like the bigger guy, which is weird when I'm meant to be the lucha. But yeah, I thought, well, why don't I just give it a go? I could buy a mask relatively inexpensively off eBay. I ended up paying a bit more than I wanted to, considering I thought, well, I might only buy one match out of this. Bought some new tights because they were relatively inexpensive as well. And I thought, right, I'll see if I can do this. So I asked RIW if I could do it. And they said, yeah, sure, whatever. Come on down. Perhaps they thought I'd suck and it wouldn't really matter because I had the mask on. Apart from obviously the tattoos kind of give me away anyway. They thought, well, perhaps he'll do it once, get out of his system. But I can remember putting the mask on and I thought, this is awesome. I don't have to worry about so much. The only downside is you can't see and you can't breathe. So my first mask was full face. Horrible, absolutely horrible. Like you blow up so quickly. And yeah, like seeing is hard. Like you can see directly in front of you, but anything slightly to the side or directly below you, you cannot see. like it takes so much getting used to. So then that's why I went from a full face mask then to having like the mouth cut out. And when I wore that, I thought, God, I can breathe. But then you have to be a bit more conscious of what you're doing facially. So yeah, it was good. It was good to learn or to develop a bit of a character in a full face mask, because then I didn't have anything to worry about from that side of it, and I could concentrate on the motions and things and
body language.
Yeah, I could focus on that side. And then when I had the foot, like the face cut off, then I could breathe, and then I could develop it a little bit more. But I wouldn't recommend going straight from training to wearing a mask, because everything is different when you wear a mask. What I should have done is started wearing the mask when we had access in KPWA and the ring setup, and I should have had some practice matches at that time with it on, because I could have figured out a lot of things pretty quickly. But cut in hindsight and all that.
Live and learn is the But yeah, I mean, I think this Necrófago gimmick is working. I think this is good for you. Generally do. You know, I think the narcissist gimmick works as well. I liked it. I was a fan. But it's about what you feel comfortable doing the most. You know, you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in this gimmick, and that's the only way you're going to get a gimmick over to this crowd. You know, from the people on the social media. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Like it took me a while to grow into it. I did enjoy it going in, but yeah, I feel as though each match I had with it on, I started to realize, say, what was working, what wasn't working, and kind of the only way you would do it would have been in, say, the match situation, like in front of crowds. Whereas I think it would have been great to have done a bit more, say, training matches in between, like in the early stages, or perhaps to have had, say, 5 or 6 training matches with the mask on before I debuted it. But yeah, the way that the crowd reacts and ultimately whenever I've wrestled with as that gimmick, it's gone down well. There's not that many masked wrestlers going on in Wales, which I think really helps. It's quite an easy babyface gimmick, really. Yeah, he's a mask. He looks cool. Yeah, put it on. Let's cheer him. And yeah, like and even the stuff which I've kind of done to death almost now, like the CCC chant along. Like people do it. They seem to enjoy it. I enjoy doing it, and yeah, like I don't. If I hadn't have tried it, I don't think I would have carried on wrestling. I don't think I would have, say, come back, or if I did come back because I was missing it, I think I would have gone away pretty quickly again. In all honesty,
yeah, it's all about trying, isn't it? Different things, because in my time, I've had a couple of gimmicks.
Yeah, you have, yeah.
One of them, when I first started, like many years ago, it was this. Well, it was just a generic kind of thing, when I was young, and then I moved on to like this Jesus, insane kind of gimmick, which to me worked. To others, people didn't like it, but it is what it is.
Might have been the wrong time.
Sorry?
Might have been the wrong time.
Maybe. Came back into wrestling, tried doing something like a dark kind of character, Alistair Michelson, and then just wasn't working. And now this one, CueBall, seems to work. I'm happy.
Well, I think it's more you. I think CueBall is more you than Alistair. I think Alistair potentially could have worked, but I think when you were trying it, there wasn't a huge amount of cooperation going on with who you were in with.
Yeah, I'd say so. But I'm glad it works for me, and I'm happy doing it.
You get booked.
That's it. That's what it matters, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So obviously you've mentioned your retirement, so I don't need to ask that now, because that was going to be my next question to you, talking about your retirement. But you said it's because personal reasons. You had a boy coming into the ring. That's wrong.
Not yet. You haven't been to a show yet, let alone a ring. But shouldn't be long now. He's nearly 3. Well, not too far off 3.
Yeah. So you had that. So you had another child come in, which obviously family is more important.
Yeah.
You felt like you hit a wall wrestling, so you wanted to stop. So, but then you came back. You're doing Necrófago. Happy days. So, which goes into my next question: Slammasters. Now, I want you to tell me about Slammasters. Salad.
Okay.
You obviously work with Big D.
Yeah.
Dave, whatever you want to say. So yeah, let's hear about Slammasters.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Slammasters was. It was a little bit of it started life as a bit of a throwaway comment. So we were at, I mentioned them again. Yeah, we were at the RIW show. Dave was on it with me, and I think we were just talking, and we looked around the people getting change and mulling over their matches and what have you, and we just said, I reckon, kind of what I said in Butlins about wrestling a match. I said, I reckon we could put a show on and do it. And I think the response was, we could. And just followed up with it, really. And it soon became a thing. Like the main motivations behind it were at the time, there was a lot of, say, dissent and unhappiness in, say, the Welsh wrestling scene, or certain corners of the Welsh wrestling scene. There was people not allowed to work certain places, and if you work this place, you can't work that place, and you can't talk to that person because that person talks to that person. It was similar, even up to a year ago, but it seemed worse or more prevalent then. So we thought, why didn't we just, kind of inspired as well by what was going on with Cody and the Young Bucks, saying, well, why don't we just run a show out ourselves, and we'll do it, and we'll welcome people from this training school, that training school, that training school. We don't really care where you come from, as long as you wanna be involved, and you're not going to be poisonous to other people. And one thing that I always remember fondly, and I'm sure you do as well, is the early but not kind of like the mid KPWA training shows in the old unit. There's just like the backstage atmosphere where there was this big sense of we're in this together, we're developing together. Exactly. And I kind of missed that, because you didn't really get that in other places that I'd been. So I thought, why don't we bring people together, regardless of where you trained, or if you're 50 matches in, or if maybe you're 5 or 6 matches in. As long as you can work, we'll have you on, and we'll showcase different people, and hopefully people will turn up so we don't lose money on it. And if we do, then we know never to do it again. And we got more people interested than I thought we were going to be honest. I can remember messaging a few people thinking, they're just going to say, shut up, you're not going to run the show. But everyone was really, really, really keen. And we had a good turnout in terms of performers, and good turnout in terms of crowd as well. And it was definitely it was, if nothing else, I can remember being in the car with my fiance, and I was quite nervous on the day. There's a few reasons why I was nervous, but one of them was like, this show has to go down well, because I just want to show people that if things aren't good where you are, they can be better elsewhere. And like, kind of do what I did, where I wasn't happy with what I was doing, so I walked away. But just know that things don't have to be rubbish, because as I say, there was a stink around it at the time, and I think then things have got better. Obviously not just because Slammasters run their first show and they had about 80 people in a rugby club watching it, like certainly not because of that. But I think since that first show, like, doors are opened for other people. So Dragon Pro guys started getting themselves out there a little bit. Maybe a coincidence, may not have been. Maybe there was more trust that places outside of that, say, safety net can be good places for people to work. And I think other people then mixed with others, and more people got their names out there off the back of it. And I think it did help bring some people together as well. And and likewise, I think it showed other people who perhaps weren't considering running shows that it could work, and it could work. So it was definitely I think it was definitely a positive for the scene, and hopefully will continue to be so. I want it to remain a place where, say, people can get opportunity to develop. So I see it as a place where it's not necessarily for, say, people just starting out. It's something where people need to, say, aspire to get to. So the idea is to have, say, people from like outside talent, maybe for however many people you can fit in a car, basically, or maximum, say, 4 or 5 people. Say maybe you'd have, say, 4 people down from London one show, or Birmingham one show, Manchester, Liverpool, wherever the show needs, really. But then we combine them with like local talent as well, and give them different matchups, and hopefully then people can then progress that way. And hopefully it'll be a place where people aspire to be, and then help them get better, because it'll be a slightly bigger stage than perhaps, or slightly higher level than maybe the other places that they've been up to that point. Anyway, well, that's the aim. I think we were on our way to getting there, but then our friend COVID hit.
COVID. I would agree with what you've just said. Slammasters is getting noticed, especially around Wales, because, like you said, in my experience with different Welsh promotions, it's all them. Everybody sticks with one promotion, and it's like, oh, you can't work for that.
Yeah, which we experienced that. There was one promotion that they just didn't want the guys on the show, for whatever reason. They booked a show to go on the same day as the first show. Don't know why. Don't think it'd been booked in advance because we'd already booked people. Something went on. But yeah, we have experienced it. Like, we're all fine as far as I'm concerned. I don't really know what that was about, to be honest. But yeah, like there is a lot of that around.
Yeah, and I do genuinely think that Slammasters could be that, could be, like you said, Slammasters can be the one promotion that brings everybody together. I think. I personally say, and people who I've spoken to, like especially on the Rambles, they think the same. They think highly of Slammasters, which is good for you and Dave.
Yeah, so, definitely.
So hopefully good things are going to continue after this COVID malarkey is all gone. And because what I want to get across about it is, like me and Dave, we are wrestlers and we have experienced things with like rubbishness. I'm deliberately not using strong words. Rubbishness of elsewhere, and we want it to be the safe haven of, well, yes, you may be from KPWA and yes, you may be from Dragon Pro, but we think you're both good, so why aren't you on the same show together, as an example? So come on down and have a match together. Like, you probably may not have worked this person before, then great, you'll both learn something. And likewise, we've I've been friends with Jez from Exist for a little while. We worked on some shows at Exposure together, and I'm pretty sure we worked one RIW show together as well before he finished there and started Exist. And like his guys are really good, and they're underrated as well. Like they aren't really weren't getting themselves out there too much. But like when we had some of them down, like they brought the level of the show up. And so I'm really pleased to have made that work. Because they were a little bit sectioned off, shall we say. Probably distance was some of it. I know it's only an hour or so, but that does put some people off. So it was good getting them involved. So like there's a number of training schools, and likewise, if there's someone who's training at Exposure as an example, and they were ready, say, for the show, and the show needed, say, this particular gimmick that person worked, I'd welcome them too. And anyone, I don't care what training school they come from. If they fill the role in the show that's needed, and they're up for it, and I'm not going to get any grief, they welcome. They need more of this, more positivity. Right. So I want to know your thoughts as a promoter, as a fan of wrestling, whatever. I want to know your thoughts on today's independent wrestling scene. Go.
For Wales or for wider?
Do both. We'll do from Wales. Because
Wales.
I'm always interested in the Wales.
Okay.
And we'll go for where else.
Okay. I'll contradict myself a little bit because I was talking about safe havens and I don't care where people come from. But Wales could potentially be horrendously oversaturated. So if you think between Jez's Exist in Swansea and let's say Andrew's VCW with do a little detour into Newport for Dragon Pro and Exposure as well. I think they could be, if you include Welsh Wrestling, who obviously run very frequently, they could be the best part of about 10 promotions within about an hour or so radius in the car. Sounds really good from a worker perspective. Not so good when promoters get a little bit weary of a number of shows in close proximity. What you may find, if everyone comes back that is around, you may find that should I be on, say, show A and B, and there's show C in maybe the week after, someone who's running show C may not want me because they want to try and differentiate their shows from the other two. And you might find a situation where people are having to be wary of who they either book or what bookings people accept. So I think while it sounds really, really good, there may be some pain because it's a lot. If everyone's going to run monthly, Slammasters isn't. I don't see it working running monthly. To be honest, if everyone is running shows that frequently, people are going to want to try, or going to need to try and differentiate their shows, because it's very oversaturated. And there's also going to be considerations, which also extends to the wider UK scene, of how many spots are actually available and how people can make shows viable with all sorts of restrictions going on as well. So on the surface, it looks very healthy and very positive. But if you look a little bit closer, and I probably look at it this way because I live in a spreadsheet where I'm trying to make things work, I'm going to think, yeah, a situation may come up where I might, or someone might look at me and think, right, is this person going to make my show significantly better by having him on? If the answer is no, they may say, well, is this person going to guarantee a crowd? And again, if the answer is no, then if I'm on another show, then I might not find myself on the show that I wanted to get on, because people want to differentiate and people need to be perhaps a bit ruthless and make things work financially as well. So I think it'll be interesting what happens if everyone comes back. 10 promotions in an hour's distance, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's oversaturated, and Slammasters is part of that problem, because we're in there. But yeah, it could be interesting, and it wouldn't surprise me if we go through a little bit of a stage where there's a lot of, well, I can't work this show because that person said they won't book me. We could be in for a little bit of a return of 2018 by there. That's the pessimist in me. The positive side of me says, well, yeah, it's, if there's 10 promotions, we could take out Welsh wrestling from that, but Welsh wrestling attracts the crowd. If two people will have me and two people won't, then I've still got 2 bookings and I can still progress that way. But yeah, I think a situation of people will need to be potentially wary of which bookings they accept, and likewise from promoter side, who they actually put on, because making your show stand out, if there's that much of competition, is going to be a challenge. The wider UK scene is going to have a similar issue as well, and of course the wider UK scene, Slammasters is obviously somewhat like, we want to bring in the higher level, or say more nationally known talent. There's obviously this massive, it's not an issue because it's a good thing, but obviously the speaking out movement has, in many cases, took out people's top level of talent if they're not going to welcome them back. And you're going to be in a situation where promotions are going, if they're in the similar venues that they were pre-COVID, they're going to need to try and get as many people in there without their top talent. Now that's going to be difficult. Like your first show or 2 back, people are going to be so desperate to watch some wrestling. I don't think it's going to matter too much. But if they're charging more to make up for the lack of ticket sales, to make it work, then people aren't going to want to pay more than they were previously paying long term to watch, say, who were your mid card or your openers pre-COVID. So that's going to be an interesting time as well. So there's going to be, I think, any level that UK wrestling is in, there's going to be different levels of pain to overcome, and it's going to take time. And hopefully we can all get through it together. And I hope I've just made sense there.
This is Rambles, you know. Rambles.
Yeah, I went off on one there, but
that's
yeah,
cool. No, that's fine. This is why I call it the Rambles for, because we just talk. This is a place where we can all express our opinions. So
Yeah, I think if, say, pre-COVID, if you were a promotion and you were in a big hall for whatever reason, but your crowd was 30 to 50 people and it worked and you were okay financially, what have you, I don't think you're going to really feel anything. But if you're not one of them, you're going to have to rethink to make it viable, because you've got things like crowd restrictions, you've got talent who maybe isn't available to you anymore, and maybe then the talent you were thinking of is here, there, and everywhere, and all of a sudden they're not your draws as such anymore. So I think, from promoter side, they've got to think about things, and and I think workers are going to need to be a little bit more selective on where they go as well. Just to make sure that they get the bookings where they actually want to get the bookings, not because they want to get a couple of reps in here and there.
Yeah,
that's the shorter answer. I may as well have just said that.
Well, you got the long answer. You got
yeah.
Someone's bound to like either anyway.
Yeah.
So highs and lows in your career so far.
Okay, well, my biggest high sounds like a Mark moment, but my highest point was getting the KPWA championship. Not because it was a championship, because it was recognition for the effort that I put in, the progress that I'd made, and I was proud to be chosen by Andrew and Luke to have that championship belt. I was delighted to have it. I was delighted just to be on the KPWA shows, in all honesty, but yeah, just having that, it was like being in school and having the certificate, to be honest. Like it was awesome having that. It was a burden having the belt though in my house for that long. Say that long, because my daughter took a liking to it, so I'd have to keep it out of her reach quite a bit. So yeah, so I was glad that I returned it and it wasn't broken or chewed or anything like that. She was still in the chewing stage at the time. So yeah, that was my high. Other highs really, any cheesy answer, but yeah, any show that I've been on, like I've never really been in a clique or anything. Like I know there's a lot of workers who get on shows because they're mates with someone, and I've never really been in a situation where I've had mates. But yeah, like I've any shows I've ever got on, I feel I got on merit, or in my debut's case was because I had gear in the car and people didn't want to work a triple threat and it needed to be changed into a tag. But we'll not go into that. But yeah, like that, winning the KPWA championship and yeah, just being on a show. Like my thing was, I reckon I can do one match. And the most feasible for one match for someone is some sort of rumble or battle royal. So the fact that I'd done, like, my first match was a tag match. My second was a triple threat. So I think I was a few matches in before I even did a battle royal or a rumble anyway. So yeah, so I did.
That's good.
yeah, exactly. So it's like quite a backwards way around things anyway. But yeah, so yeah, I was pleased with that. I've had a couple of lows, to be honest. Some of it self-inflicted. Major one really was my last match at Exposure. My head won in the game that day, and to be honest, it was not that far off when Rad was being born, so I was preoccupied mind with that, and I was struggling that day in Waves trying to go through the match, and nothing was going in, and I couldn't retain it, and it was a show in memory of a young man called The Brand as well. And yeah, I didn't want a suck for the people who paid the money and obviously for his memory. And I just had a match with Charlie Rollins, and yeah, I just fell apart. I was just awful, and it may as well have been my first match, to be honest. I was that bad, and yeah, it's like I just gotta knock it on the head. So I just can't. I can't be feeling like this about something that's meant to be fun. And that wasn't the first time I'd like stunk the place out either. I'm quite open when I have a bad day at wrestling or when I'm just rubbish. But yeah, like that one was bad. And it's not a low point, but it's worth mentioning as well. Was another low was I had a match with Joseph Connors of NXT UK fame. Obviously a very experienced wrestler in the UK scene, and he's having great success now on NXT UK, and he's on TV, and he's won quite a few titles and stuff beforehand. For whatever reason, I ended up being the person chosen to have a match with him, and I've never had my backside given to me in terms of not being able to keep up, not being able to do what I thought I could do, and his advice was so good. But I knew then, like I really need to step up my game, or again, I just gotta get away, because I was not anywhere near the level that I should have been or needed to be in with him. I like to think I took a lot of his constructive feedback on board, and yeah, I feel as though since then, like, each match I got like better and better at what I was trying to do. But yeah, he was so good. Like, he was very direct and said, well, no, like, you're not doing this, you should do this, why aren't you doing this, why here you should do this. And thought, yeah, this was like, it was probably worth hundreds in like one-to-one training sessions. Like it was so valuable. But yeah, like, that was another time I thought, yeah, right, this is a point now where I can either get better or I can again walk away. And I like to think I got better there. And yeah, really grateful for the amount of time he spent dissecting my relatively inept performance there. But to be fair to him, he was so good. He covered it. If you watch the match back, like, he covered it quite well. But yeah, like, that was a time where I'm sure any trainee or say rookie wrestler who ends up in a match against someone that much more experienced, I'm sure we all feel it. Yeah, I thought, yeah, you've told me a new one here, and thank you, because I needed it.
A bittersweet moment.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool as how that you got into the ring with Joseph Connors, and then it's like, right, you know, you need to keep out peg and.
Yeah, I was in with you, but I shouldn't have been.
Well, yeah, like I said earlier, you live and learn, don't you?
Yeah.
So it's done. Right, so this is my last thing now. It's something new that was actually brought to my attention by someone called Dominic Bryce, who has been on here before, actually. It's a bit of a quick fire round. I'm not sure call it yet, so anybody has any ideas, drop them in the comments or something, you know, that YouTube kind of thing. So it's going to work as I'm going to fire a name at you and just a quick opinion about this guy. So the first person is going to be Big D.
The friendliest, nicest man in wrestling.
Yeah.
He's too nice.
He's too nice
for wrestling.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Dreadwolf.
Dreadwolf, again, very nice guy. Deceivingly strong. Good.
Gas beard as well.
Very good beard.
That's how I've seen him as anyway.
Yeah. Same.
Go on.
I was going to say, same, yeah, I haven't seen him for a while, but last time he had a good beard.
Andrew James.
Again, too nice for wrestling. Incredibly knowledgeable. Very patient.
Squats.
Likes a gin.
Yeah, gin o'clock. And squat.
Yeah.
And lastly, BRAM.
Controversial one. Obviously, he's had his name in stories and things. I've worked with him on a couple of shows. So I was in a tag match with him, and he was on another show. Very nice guy. In my experience, very knowledgeable. Yeah, could have knocked me out when I was in the ring with him, but he didn't. So yeah. In my experience with him, yeah, he's a very nice guy, very knowledgeable, and would take the time to try and talk you through different things. So in my experience, I can say nothing but good things about him.
There we go. That's that. That's the quick fire round done. That's how quick it is. That's that's what she said.
Hey.
Fan questions now. We got a couple of them. First question by Daniel Powell. How did the character of Necro come about?
Well, we kind of covered it, really. Yeah, wanted to try and not suck so much at wrestling. So I thought, yeah, I'll put a mask on so I don't have to worry about facials and expressions and things like that. Was a fan of the luchas of WCW, and thought there was a bit of a gap as well on shows for that type of gimmick. I thought that could be a way of getting back into wrestling as a new character, get bookings, because there's not that many people doing it. And yeah, enjoyed it, really. And the name is Spanish for ghoul, and obviously I'm a horror fan with my various tattoos, so yeah.
You know, that's one thing I've always loved is your tattoos. I've always liked the tattoos. One thing I always like. Michael Linton. Linden. I always get his last name wrong. Always do. Mike Linden. If you could book yourself in your dream match, dream WrestleMania triple threat match, who would be your opponents?
Well, it'd obviously at the moment be against Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, because then I'd be in the main event and I'd get the main event money.
Nice and easy. There we go. Again, Mike, was it hard learning English with a Welsh accent being from Mexico?
Well, obviously I'm not from Mexico. I'm possibly the least Mexican person you could ever meet. So yeah, this is something that I've been trying to do a little bit now. So in downtime, I've attended a few like online seminars, and some of them have been about character work. So I'm trying to work out or portray the gimmick across of Necrófago. So I've started telling my story on my Instagram feed, which is Necrófago Lucha, by the way, Instagram people.
Yeah, I'll put that
give it a little follow. Nice, thank you. So the idea is to show the character. So obviously I'm not going to pretend to be Mexican. I'm still going to do elements of what I do. So I'm still going to say things like CCC because people talk along and they enjoy that. But yeah, I'm going to get the character side across, like why I wear the mask and why I have chosen that. But yeah, the answer to the question is it was a nightmare.
There we go, nightmare. Carly Webster, have you won a match before?
Yeah. So I think Carly watches RIW, where I think I won every match I had as Necro for about a year, and then I just lost for about the second year in various tag matches and things. So yes, I did once. I won. I think I won my last match before lockdown again against young Daniel at VCW. So yeah, I won a couple.
Yeah, against who? I think it's Justin Powell.
Justin Powell. Yeah, sorry. Oh, we're kayfabing. Okay, Justin Powell. Yeah.
What is he? He's the I can't remember what he calls himself. It's like the Justin Bieber Blackwood or something like that. I can't remember. It's short. He's going to pipe up anyway.
Yeah.
Last question. That was brought in just before we started this, actually, by James Tompkins. What has been your biggest achievement in wrestling today? I think we covered it, but
just proving my brother wrong and getting on a show in the first place, having the KPWA Championship, being booked on shows, and another really big one is, while we could run shows, making Slammasters work. Like, we had a decent crowd compared to other promotions on the first show. I think we had over 100 in the second, and there's not that many promotions in Wales at that time. We're getting 100 plus people in, and we did that by putting on something good in the first place and building on it. And I think that was a big achievement. And yeah, the third one was going to be bigger again. Like, everything to a point was where it needed to be in pre-sale, despite a bit of a rough patch, which was understandable because it was post-Christmas and the area had floods, and there was other things going on, as well as is this COVID thing real or not, which was grumbling on for a little while before we actually thought, yeah, it is actually a pandemic. And yeah, like that's an achievement as well. Like, I'm honored to have been able to go from like this nerdy little kid who plays wrestling figures in his living room to actually getting on shows and running shows. Like, I've arguably surpassed anything that I should have done and what it looked like I was going to do on my first day of training in Welsh wrestling as well. And even if I had, say, run out of Welsh wrestling with my tail between my legs on the first training session, I could always say, well, I went training once, it wasn't for me. And like, I'm just pleased to have been able to do stuff. And the other big achievement is having my daughter watch me as well. So she's come to the Slammasters shows. She was born around the time I started training. She tried to watch a few shows of mine. Like, there's been a couple of times where she'd stand by the door, put her coat on and shoes on, but she doesn't even do that now. Like let alone when I need her to. But yeah, I was really pleased that she could watch me while I still can do this, because I'm not getting any younger. And I want a favorite though. I want a favorite on the 2 shows that she's been to watch. I haven't been on a favorite on either. So
No. Well, she's
I'm
not
proud.
biased. Not biased, at least. That's the main thing.
Well, exactly. She knows who's a good or who's not. Obviously.
There's nothing better than having your own kids watch you wrestle.
Yeah.
So that's it. That concludes this Rambles.
Nice.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I brought a little prop with me if you'd like to see it.
I would like to see it.
Okay.
I would.
It is the Slammasters Wrestling Championship.
Look at that. That's gonna be the advertisement for this, I think.
Nice.
That is very nice.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, that's something I've had made by Royal Belts in Pakistan over, I think it was the first lockdown. So had that. I think I've had it here since when I met. Was it August, September time? Maybe September time or so.
Yeah, I think that's when we last probably spoke, because we spoke about you coming on and revealing this. So I think
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's been up in my my attic office for a little while now, and yeah, hopefully when we can run a show, my daughter can watch me, my son can come and watch me for the first time as well, and somebody, not me, can be crowned Slammasters champion.
Please don't book yourself to win, Jesus.
No. I'm I know my place on the show. My place on the show with my gimmick is opener or lower mid card. I can do my CCCs. I can get my little cheers off the younger fans in the crowd. But yeah, I'm not a main event. I'm not a main event talent in the slightest. But I know my place.
There we go. Nice and honest. Love it.
Yeah.
So
I know. Right?
Yeah. So that's it. That concludes today's Bearded Rambles. Thank you, Necrófago, Johnny Narcissist, John Walker,
Johnny Love.
Sorry, and Johnny Love. Thanks for coming on, man. It's been great to talk to you.
Thanks for having me. It's been nice to see you again. Nice to talk to you. It's been as you say, nearly a year.
Amazing, man. All your socials are going to be in the descriptions. In the description below. So go and follow him on Instagram and Facebook. Slammasters on Facebook and Instagram as well. Probably Twitter. I don't know. I don't do Twitter.
No, I tried it with it, but I don't like Twitter. It's quite poisonous. No.
Do Twitter. So I've been CueBall. Thank you for watching this episode 33 of the Bearded Rambles. Next, coming up on the show is wrestling legend, former NWA and WTW wrestler, Randy Hogan. If you don't know him, just anyway, stay safe, stay positive. #, yeah.